This angry IRL streamer holds the record for the most permanent bans in YouTube history, and he just added something infinitely worse to his own resume: a 6-year prison sentence. But while the guy is a disgusting sick freak, what really drew my attention to this case is that 161 of his viewers who were watching and donating to his stream are now facing charges as well. So I think that is the first time ever that the viewers are potentially getting punished for watching a scumbag IRL streamer. So as soon as I heard that, I wanted to know everything about this case, and this is happening in South Korea as well. So meet Shin Tae-il, a South Korean internet streamer who's been online since 2012. And over that time, he's built a reputation of being one of the most chaotic Korean influencers. And his whole online persona is essentially built around being insufferable on purpose, insulting people's parents, his crew members, basically anyone in frame. And I guess, I don't know if it's a part of the bit or not, but he's extremely sensitive about his own height, and he really loves to tell everyone else on how not good looking they are. So I guess the dude has the classic combo of insult everyone else's appearance, but he cannot take anything himself. So according to people who actually knew him off camera, the real Shin was basically the opposite. Quiet, kind of shy around strangers, and by most accounts, someone who would get emotional pretty easy when someone close to him was struggling. Which, sure, I mean, isn't exactly unheard of. Plenty of large internet personalities turn out to be pretty different once the cameras are off. But still, I mean, when you compare his character or his online persona to, I guess, who the people close to him are claiming he is, there's a very big difference here. But hey, unfortunately for him, none of the supposed softness from his off-camera life carried into his on-camera life, because maybe some of that sympathy and human decency could have saved him here. But regardless, he was the head of a streaming group called the No Ami Crew, and by multiple accounts, he ran it the same way he ran his streams. He reminded everyone under him that they were nothing without him. So I guess combined with the constant insults and drama, that's probably why he holds one of the weirder records in streaming history: 185 separate permanent bans from YouTube alone. That is just ban evasion on a whole new level. And then on top of that, he's also banned from both TikTok and Twitch and two more obscure platforms called Soup and Chisik. But regardless, his content wasn't just insults either. He built a decade-long career of essentially makjang bangsong, which is roughly translated to trashy streaming. I guess over-the-top live streams where creators will do almost anything for donations. Essentially, nuisance streaming. And it's not unique to Korea, but the format tends to escalate over time because, you know, audience gets used to whatever the baseline is, so he has to keep amping the stakes up or else the donations will stop. So that's the background on the guy. And before I actually covered this video, I've seen this guy in memes so many times before. So clearly he's spilled into Western content, because up until what, like 2 years ago, I knew little to nothing about the South Korean creator sphere. Regardless, that's the very quick background on his career. But now, why we're making this video, because on July 12, 2025, Shin Tae-il ran a live stream out of an office-tel, which is essentially a small studio-style apartment office unit that you rent out. And this office-tel was in Incheon, which is like an hour west of Seoul. But without getting into too much detail of what happened on that stream, because it's definitely not YouTube friendly, the short story is Shin decided to bring a minor onto this broadcast and paid them an appearance fee, and I guess used a spin to wheel style program tied to viewers' donations to decide punishments, and what punishments this minor would get. And again, without going into too much detail, it was just straight up humiliation that went way too far. I mean, it's disgusting. There were some serious boundaries crossed here. And what makes this so much more alarming is there was 7 other streamers present and participating in this broadcast alongside of him, and reportedly they had over 20,000 concurrent viewers. And the 7 other streamers part, that's what really shocks me here, because at no point did any of them go, wait a minute, I don't think we should be doing this at all, especially not to a minor. But a chunk of those viewers were actively sending donations to trigger these punishments. But obviously the stream did the rounds and people were just horrified, but Shin didn't get arrested right away. Police reportedly tried to bring him in for questioning multiple times after the stream, and he didn't show up. So on September 1st, 2025, police got an arrest warrant and actually picked him up live in the middle of the stream at the same office tel. And historically, September 1st isn't really a good day for this guy, because on September 1st, 2017, his original YouTube channel, which had over 840,000 subscribers at the time, was permanently banned. But following his arrest, he was formally indicted on September 17th, and that same day, the No Ami crew officially disbanded. Now, here's the part of the story that's actually historic, and is the reason this case is actually getting so much more attention, other than the fact of, yeah, this guy is some sick internet freak and he's in trouble. Now, this is a little different because it's not just Shin Tae-il and his 7 co-streamers facing charges. The investigators went back through the stream's donation logs and identified 161 viewers who had sent money specifically tying to triggering these punishments. And every single one of them was referred to prosecutors on charges of aiding and abetting the production of illegal content involving a minor. And this legal reasoning here is genuinely new territory. So prosecutors argued that because the donations directly funded and encouraged what was happening to this person on camera, no, they were financially participating in the crime itself. And it's getting compared pretty directly to the legal logic used in Korea's infamous NTH room case a few years back, where the people who paid to get access to the exploitation material were prosecuted right alongside the people who created it. And if you're not familiar with this case, essentially this set the tone for how seriously Korea treats anyone financially connected to this kind of content, not just the person filming it. So depending on how these viewer cases shake out, it could have some very interesting ripple effects here. Now, you can straight up be an accomplice if you just simply click donate and you are a part of, you know, whatever's going on through the stream. Logically, it makes sense because in many cases, they are accomplices and they're funding the streamer. So these degenerate streamers essentially give the viewer a platform to donate a message or sound effect. For example, like if you're donating in the Johnny Smalley case, like a bomb threat being played over a loud Bluetooth speaker, that's still a bomb threat. So it makes sense that they could be charged as an accomplice for whatever happened on the stream, especially if they caused it. And don't get me wrong, that doesn't make the streamer any less guilty. It just means that whoever's donating is also an accomplice. But obviously all of this is new. The people who donated to Johnny Smalley's stuff, they didn't get charged. But regardless, when it came to this case, it moved way slower than expected, partly because, you know, prosecutors ended up indicting all 7 of Shin's co-streamers as joint offenders too, which meant the cases got merged and the timeline kept getting pushed back. And Shin was denied bail in December of 2025, and his detention was extended yet again in March of 2026 after complications during a jailhouse visit, which added even more delay to an already slow case. Then after the final hearing on June 9, 2026, prosecutors asked for 12 years for Shin Tae-il, along with a lighter sentence ranging from 5 to 7 years for his co-defendants. And leading up to the sentencing, Shin reportedly submitted somewhere around 66 to 68 handwritten apology letters to the court. And there was also reportedly a moment during the evidence review where the presiding judge was visibly taken aback by what was being shown in court, to the point where the footage was cut short during the private viewing. So on July 9, 2026, the Incheon District Court handed down its ruling. Shin Tae-il was sentenced to 6 years in prison, ordered to complete a 40-hour behavioral rehab program. He was also hit with financial forfeiture and banned from working at any institution involving children, teenagers, or people with disabilities for 7 years. And his defendants didn't walk away clean either. 5 of them received sentences ranging from roughly 2.5 to 3.5 years, and they were taken into custody immediately, while 2 others received suspended sentences. So to put that in perspective, Cho Ju-bin, the ringleader behind the NTH room case, he's still serving a sentence that's already kept him locked up for years at this point. And depending on how Shin's case plays out on appeal, his time behind bars could end up stacking in a similar direction. But even outside the courtroom, things were already falling apart for Shin Tae-il, because apparently his younger brother reportedly gambled away roughly 470 million Korean won, or 300 grand USD, that was supposed to go to this guy's legal defense. When it rains, it pours, I guess. Then you have his father dealing with his own health issues. He stayed in the picture, but Shin has reportedly expressed regret in letters from prison about not spending more time with him. Then after his arrest, Shin's mother reportedly took control of his phone and bank accounts entirely. Currently, the No Ami group is now completely gone, and several of the other streamers involved also had their channels banned, and the entire circle that used to be, I guess, around Shin Tae-il has completely scattered. And beyond the crew itself, Shin is now also barred from a long list of jobs going forward, not just the streaming and content platforms that he's currently been banned from. So this one stream changed the lives of at least 8 people, obviously the victim and the 7 disgusting morons who thought this was something that was good for streaming content, and now potentially 161 people who are viewers who also donated. So whatever happens with this appeal, the bigger story here again is probably going to be about these 161 viewers who are actually being prosecuted right now, because this would probably be a pretty efficient way to crack down on nuisance streaming, because, you know, a large appeal to it for many is to put the streamer in the worst possible position for entertainment, or use the streamer to harass people or people around the streamer. The streamer is essentially used as a vessel for harassment. So now it looks like people can actually get held responsible for their own actions, even if they're sitting at home donating. This will definitely be interesting to see how it all pans out. Feel free to subscribe if you're new here. Drop a like if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Peace.